right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our 6 o'clock work session for August. We'll start with items for discussion. Discuss rezoning case 2026 R. Robert-02, applicant Nicole Hershowitz, Community Development.
Y'all want me to go through the certification again, or?
Well, there's other people here.
Alrighty, good evening. Can y'all hear me all right? This is rezoning case 2026.
Sorry. There you go.
2026-R-02 at 340 and 360 Old Canton Road. This is a request for a wellness center and chiropractic office. It is currently zoned CCR. They are requesting CCT to allow for this use. Specifically on 340 Old Canton, there is no proposed change to 360. This is just overhead showing the surrounding zonings in this area. You can see that if zoned to CCT, it would be touching other CCT zoned parcels. These are the existing residences on the property. Like I said, 360 won't be changing. 340, the intent is not to change the structure itself except for minor permitting considerations to bring it up to commercial standard. These are the staff recommended conditions should council choose to approve this rezoning request. You can see those there. Ultimately, it boils down to minor modifications are allowed on this property. However, substantial modifications like tearing down the building and building a brand new building or major additions to the buildings would require it to come before mayor and council once again. Also, we are requesting or recommending the prohibition of wall signs except for those permitted by the zoning ordinance. That would be like a small plaque, 2-4 square feet, just to identify like professional nameplate. So that's all I've got. Take any questions.
Okay, we had a public hearing on this matter at 5 o'clock. Any council members wish to discuss this?
Well, I guess I can rehash what I already brought up. We had a healthy discussion at the public hearing, okay? And this is a complex rezoning case. As Mr. Barnes, who sits on our Cherokee County, is our representative of Cherokee County Planning and Zoning, said this is a complex case. You have a lot of CCT that has been rezoned in our neighborhood, and I live there at 250 Mound Street, across from this property. All around our house is CCT, except for one lot. And as I mentioned, also in the neighborhood, you know, a colleague a few seats down, her house is CCT. Anyone zoned CCT, would they be subject to the same staff conditions, staff recommended conditions?
These conditions would only apply to these two parcels.
Okay. So in essence, is that kind of like a special use permit then? Could that be considered like a special use permit in lieu?
I would hesitate to call it that because special use permits are, it goes into zoning procedures law. Pretty much what it would look like is any use, chiropractic office, we'll just say hypothetically a dental office, that would be allowed. These conditions would only restrict physical modifications to the structures.
Okay. So just out the street from us there on Mound Street, we've got a CCT property with a salon, and they've got a sign up there. It looks good. It looks good. Would that sign be prohibited? Would that type of sign be prohibited on this property as that property has been able to have that sign now?
Right. CCT does allow for those larger wall signs by right. Condition 3 specifically prohibits those kinds of wall signs. The only thing that would be allowed is what's in our zoning ordinance under exempt, and those are very small.
Okay.
I don't quite remember the square footage, but it's like 2 to 4, so.
So just to confirm, a CCT zone property right now would not be subject to any of these conditions?
Correct. These
Okay.
go with this particular
Yeah.
parcel, these particular parcels. I recall that the CCT zoning for this area was passed in 2023. And in April of 2023, I believe. And there are permitted uses there. And with the permitted uses, it allows for a lot of different things. Yeah. And so I believe that's a concern that our citizens have, particularly in the neighborhood, is not what this property is what could happen in the future. But adjacent to this property, and I'm speaking of the property at 360 Old Canton, those folks are zoned CCT, so they can do anything within the CCT zoning now. 360 is currently zoned CC.
Are?
I don't know if that-
Yeah.
Correct, yes.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that one would become CCT, however, it would be subject to those staff conditions, 1 through 5, should you approve this case and should you recommend approval of those conditions.
Logan, I have a question for you.
Yep.
If this was approved as CCT, these two properties, this is going further into the CCR, the residential part of our city. Would it devalue the surrounding CCR properties?
I don't personally have the data on that. I can tell you from broad general experience, it typically doesn't devalue properties. However, I am not a data expert, I'm not a real estate agent, or any of those things. It's just
Well-
pure professional observation.
Okay, so I think it's something to look at, because if you're, some of these permitted items that are, or businesses that could go in under a CCT, I mean, we're talking about, medical facilities, we're talking about banking, real estate, there was one, veterinarian clinics, personal services, farm, let's see here. Just to name a few out of all of these that are allowed under a CCT, how could that not devalue the homes and the CCR in the surrounding area? Because this is going deeper into our residential part of our city,
Like I
and
said-
also the historical part.
Like I said, not a real estate expert, don't have any hard numbers in front of me to tell you one way or another. What I stated was pure professional observation. Could go up, it could go down. The market does what the market does.
Okay.
I believe the reason for the CCT that was talked about in 2023, or what goal was, as the city core, city center here expanded, it gave opportunity for small niche businesses to be in a home. Similar as you come into Old Canton, I think somebody earlier mentioned that, you see the homes that became small offices, they weren't obnoxious, you didn't have a lot of heavy pedestrian traffic coming and going out of them, but it could be not so much a home business, but it was in a home. But this to me seems a bigger reach, a little further away. I could see Chestnut Street being the dividing line, and I could see Gruber Street on the other end being the dividing line of the city center. But we're asking to go deeper into the residential, and I think that's where you kind of have to, my thoughts, draw the line and say that's okay, that's too far, keeping that in. And it's very similar to, I've used this example of Highway 92, Highway 20, large corridors, has commercial businesses on it. But when you start going down 1-2 blocks off of that and still trying to drag commercial down, it's not a good precedent to start. It opens the door to a lot of things, so.
What was the rationale between those houses from 351 to up to Tatum Circle, up to Stripling? What was the rationale for rezoning those CCT?
I couldn't speak to
You
that.
couldn't speak to that.
But-
Palmer wasn't here.
I was not
This-
here either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like to speculate as to the decisions that passed.
I understand, and my question was more directed at my colleagues who were voting on that back in 2023, okay?
There
That's-
was an overlay back then,
Mhm.
and they took away the overlay and substituted for the CCT for the city center transitional and doing that, so.
Mm-hmm.
I was a little surprised myself, I was in CCT.
The Valley
I thought
Street
it stopped
overlay
on
that,
the other side of Chestnut. And Valley Street, because there are businesses, you know, like the post office, Onyx, whatever the other, you know, that
Right.
those were CCT there too, so. I don't know so much on the Old Canton Road part. The part up on the top part of Gilmer Ferry, where those houses are right on Gilmer Ferry,
right,
would go CCT because they could easily become transitional someday, you know, for a business, because they're right on the main thoroughfare of downtown, so.
Logan, can you zoom out and show more of the CCT up to the north?
This is just a screenshot of our zoning
Okay.
map right now. We don't have the actual zoning map up.
So what's up north of there? Is it CCT or CCR, or what is it?
North
There's
of
a
Gilmer
portion
Ferry.
of it at CCT.
North of Gilmer Ferry, there's a mixture of CCT and CCR.
There's a lot of CCT up there,
Yes, sir.
actually. And so whenever you do the calculation, and again, I see both sides of it. As I told the folks at the public hearing, and they had some great points and great questions for those of y'all who weren't here. This is a complex rezoning case. There's a lot of CCT that was zoned in 2023, and you know, it's and I understand. So now I'm hearing it was the Valley Street overlay. Okay, so it just whenever you've got an applicant that wants to rezone the CCT. They have an argument, but then there are some concerns about it. So, as I have concerns about it. But I also see that it would merit a consideration, but a consideration without those conditions, because the folks behind our house there at 250 Mound Street, where we live, they don't have those conditions. If someone wanted to go in and open up one of those permitted uses, there at on Valley Street, exception of 180 Depot Street, they could do that without coming before this body, as long as it were a permitted use. And, you know, some people could, so there's disparity there, but I believe I'm hearing a little bit additional information that it was the Valley Street overlay. So I'm going to research what the Valley Street overlay was prior to that, because if you go look north of there, there's a lot of CCT up there that's further away from the city center. Anyway, so that's discussion that, and there are probably some other points as
I
well.
would say our one savings grace on my house and Valley Street, on those actually being the CCT, they would still have to fall in, and correct me, Logan or Palmer, if I'm wrong, based on the square footage of what is there to offer a certain amount of parking spaces, correct?
Correct.
So, and based on my house, most of those on Valley Street would not be able to comply with parking.
So what about just out the street across there where the business that's moved in? What about parking for there on the Mound Street? Does it have to comply?
Should.
Yeah.
Should.
But they would have the property to comply with that, correct? Yeah.
Any other discussion? All right, for the agenda. Move us to item B, discuss annexation case number 2025-A as in alpha 05, applicant Lee Lusk. Palmer.
Yes, sir. I'll pass this to Logan as well. I think the microphone might have turned off again.
All right, this is a annexation and rezoning case at 0 Ball Ground Road. I believe it's across from Flat Bottom Trail to help you kind of orient. This is an 11.45 acre parcel. The applicant is proposing a 33 lot, single family residential detached subdivision. He's calling it Gilmer Ferry Phase 2. There was a previous rezoning request directly adjacent to this. That was Gilmer Ferry Phase 1. It's currently zoned R40 in the county. He is requesting T and D, which is the same zoning as the adjacent parcel. He is also requesting concurrent variances regarding the rear-loaded garage requirement, lot sizes, and side setbacks. The red outlined area is the subject parcel. The very large T and D parcel is the Gilmer Ferry Phase 1. So this is a revised site plan that the applicant submitted just the other day, showing those 33 lots. You can see it's primarily rear-loaded. I believe all those purple lots are rear-loaded. Those are the smallest lots. Front loads are going to be the blue and yellow, and you can see how it's the lot sizes get a little bit bigger. And this is the overall combined site plan, just showing how it integrates into Phase 1. So staff recommendations for this request: if you are approving the annexation, we request that you approve the following rezoning with or without changes from staff conditions. If you are planning on denying the annexation, there would be no action on the rezoning case. Now, we've got a lot of conditions for this one, I think 20 as of right now. I'm not going to read them all, I promise. These are mostly similar to what you have in your packets. However, there were a couple last-minute changes. I've highlighted those in red on this PowerPoint. So if you do end up wanting to go with the conditions on the screen, you'll want to make your motion next week to be more in line with that if we're not able to get your packets updated. Broadly speaking,
Logan, just to interject real quick,
Yeah.
we will share out the PowerPoint presentation to all of council so you can review the changes
Yes.
in the conditions.
yes. Just probably going through what's different from your packet, changing the site plan date to being what is shown tonight. Property shall not exceed 33 lots. Minimum of 21 homes shall be constructed with the rear-loaded garages as shown on the site plan. That's around 64% of the lots. Our requirement is 80. Also approving the minimum lot size. Basically, that was just a renumbering of what was already existing, just to match up with that site plan. These are all the same. There was a request from the applicant. He submitted a couple revised conditions for us to consider. One of those was a reduction in the leasing of the homes to 5% rather than 10%. That rental cap restriction in the covenants, sorry. These are all the same. 20 and 21, so that's just a condition that was deleted in there from the packet, so. Take any questions?
I'll also say the applicant is here tonight to answer any questions directly to him.
When was Phase 1 approved?
It's my recollection that it was approved in 2007, 2008.
Okay. Any questions? Discussion. Okay,
Would you like for the applicant to say anything?
it's up to him.
How common is it to have the rental limitation at 10%, 5%, or limitations on that, and is it enforceable?
It's usually enforced through the covenants that are required, and the developers normally submit covenants prior to receiving a final plat submission, so we review those covenants to make sure that that's included in there.
Okay.
And I can also add that my previous jurisdiction, that was a fairly standard condition that we placed on zoning by council. Typically, that number was about 5 or 10%.
Okay.
I think that's a good question that Tony mentioned. How do you manage that after a development becomes live, it's fully 100% ready to go? And how do you manage that you don't have 30 homes that popped up in a neighborhood like this that starts going, they're renting their houses?
This city, as well as my last jurisdiction, did not have a method of enforcing that. That would be enforced strictly by the HOA.
Okay.
Actually, the neighborhood I live in has a very similar condition. The developer took care of that by simply keeping all his houses and renting out and selling the rest to me, so.
Okay.
Can you go back to the map? Thing I would recommend that we do is the map of the zoning. One thing I recommend we do, so this one, I'd recommend in future you have a larger, show more about what's in the area there.
Okay.
So to the north of there, I guess it's to the north, yeah, it's coming out 372 into town. So you've got some lower density, correct? Not higher density, lower density. But then right across the road, what's that purple there?
It's
And can y'all,
RM4.
RM4.
RM4. And what is that? Can you?
Apartments, townhomes, high density.
So that
Currently,
is
it's-
apartments, townhomes, and high density. And so what's there now? Do we have apartments, townhomes, and high
They're
density?
single-family homes there currently.
They're nice, single-family homes, aren't they?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. How in the, that's kind of a, that's kind of an island out there.
I believe it's maybe the only RM4 we have in the city currently. I think from recollection of talking with previous staff, that was going to be an apartment complex in that area at some point years ago. Never came to fruition, and the homes just stayed as RM4.
Yeah, there's some nice homes out there, as best I recall. Okay. So this would come in right across from that. This would be right across from those. Yeah. So somebody could come in and put in apartments right there now, then, is what you're saying.
To an extent, yes, sir. I mean, they'd still have to adhere to our development standards and requirements, but
Interesting.
RM4 does allow for multifamily housing.
But that, anything to the bottom of 372 that's in gray is county, no?
That's unincorporated
Yeah,
Cherokee County,
and that's where the bypass is coming.
potentially. It's still in review.
Okay, any other discussion?
Do the citizens, I know I've heard about in other places where, like in the county, the citizens have input with the property owner or developer. Do we do that in this case? Have they-
Yes, sir. So
we've
this
had
case has
dialogue?
been tabled twice. The latest time it was tabled back in June, I believe.
Yeah.
But it's still, that's the reason the case number is 2025. It came forward towards the end of last year, and we had a public input meeting at that time.
So I believe the gentleman is here. Have you had public input and dialogue with the surrounding property owners and about this?
Yes, sir, yeah, we had a public input meeting in 25,
Okay.
and I don't remember how many showed up, I want to say it was about 8 people.
All right. That was before I started. And what was the result of that? And what did you have?
When we went before the planning and zoning board, they approved unanimously for 36
Okay.
homes.
The Planning and Zoning Board of Cherokee County,
Yes, sir.
okay, of
The
which
city doesn't have a planning and zoning board.
Mr. Barnes sits on, correct? Okay, yeah. All right. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay,
Would y'all like to add that to the agenda?
please.
Yes, sir. And Mr. Mayor, that'll be adding items B and C. C is just the rezoning portion of the items. All right, next for consideration, we have a lease agreement with the Barrel House LLC. This lease agreement that the city has in place with Barrel House Coffee allows for us to house our computer, Wi-Fi equipment, and antenna that powers the Street Sounds equipment in downtown. This lease came up for renewal in July, and we asked legal to advise us on how to proceed. It was legal's determination that the lease agreement needs to occur on an annual basis and approval by mayor and council. On the slide here, you can see the cost breakdown for the amount we spend on Street Sounds equipment. Currently, we spend $1,156.32 for internet at that location for Street Sounds, as well as City Connection Park. We spend $1,800 for the lease of the space with Barrel House LLC. We have to pay a broadcast music fee of $459, and we have to pay a fee to the American Society for royalties towards music artists and concerts at a total of $485. So an annual cost for us of $3,900.32 to have Street Sounds in the downtown area.
You've already done some comparison shopping.
Yes, sir, I did. So looking around for reference, in 2022, the city of Opelika, Alabama, installed a whole new system that they could control from their city hall. It's called a Technomad system, and it costs the city of Opelika $158,500 for installation on 45 poles, roughly 3,522 per location. This, however, did use an already established municipal Wi-Fi network that Opelika had in their downtown area. That's something we don't have. For reference, we would have to get that as well in order to have it work via a Wi-Fi network instead.
Well, Palmer, I do have a question on that. That was a comparison to our population?
To our Street Sounds, I have not checked the population of Opelika,
I
but
mean, Opelika's could be a larger city than us,
and again,
you know?
and they used 45 poles.
And they would have a larger area, a larger area to cover than
yes.
just our strip downtown?
So I did the math on ours. Currently, I think we have 10 or 12 poles. If it's 12 poles at that cost of $3,500 roughly dollars, it would be somewhere between $40,000 and $50,000, and that was with a price in 2022. Opelika did it in 2022. They're the ones who've used the most recent system like this. So I would imagine with inflation costs that have gone up, it might be a little bit higher than that for a replacement system.
And this is just one pole?
No, ma'am. This,
I mean, you said the one pole, so I was like, is this
we
just-
have 10 to 12 poles,
Okay,
but each pole costs the city of Opelika roughly $3,500 to
okay.
wire up in each.
Have you checked with ETC directly on them? Do they do that, or is it another contractor?
They do
that
not.
comes
Most of
in?
the contractors that do this kind of work is through theme parks and larger cities. Opelika, I know, has some. There's a few others in the state of Georgia, and Las Vegas has them.
Is the lease up right now with the Barrel House?
It is up for renewal,
Okay.
What's the
when
renewal
is
date?
What's the renewal
September?
date?
July.
July?
Yes.
July.
So it's past.
Yes, it was something
Yes.
that we had in legal review for the
Okay.
past month, so
Okay.
it is retroactive to July.
Would it be worth it to try to get with a local company to see what it would cost as a comparative?
Technomad is probably the best reference in a little bit of the comparative side of things that I've looked into.
Mhm.
I can reach out to them for cost analysis, but it would cost a lot of money for us to get it to be operational from here. Mostly because we would have to get Wi-Fi extenders and attach them to the poles on Georgia Power's poles, so we have to lease from them as well to make it to downtown in order to be able to control them.
Okay. Was there a reason why this was weighted to this time period before we started looking more into this?
It came up for renewal and came to my attention. I passed it on to legal. They recommended review of the lease agreement and sent it back out. The property owners of Barrel House LLC has already signed their portion of the lease. This has been in place with them since 2020.
Right. Well, it
Legal's-
never hurts to check.
And that's why I sent it to legal, and legal recommended that it get approved by mayor and council.
Okay.
Palmer, is this, the $3,900 annual, just so I'm clear, is this internet and music, or is this just music?
This is everything in total. Yes, sir.
Everything I'm seeing now?
Yes, sir,
Okay.
Including the royalty fees.
including the royalty fees.
Palmer, if I remember right, doesn't this also include the botanical gardens too for the royalties and all of that, that we're paying?
The royalties covers that for the botanical gardens. There's a couple of speakers over there that we have hooked up for it. It's not listed on the lease for it, but it does cover us.
Okay.
And we're pretty confident the internet will cover across the road to the Connection Park?
So internet is set up to reach over there. Currently, for reference, the street sounds, the way that they work off of a transmitter and a receiver at each speaker. So if you can look just above the Barrel House sign in this photo here, there's the antenna. It's the highest point that we have that we send out the signal from. It reaches out to each individual speaker, and each speaker can talk to each other. So roughly a little less than a year ago, we were having some major issues with it. Joe Ingram and myself went downtown, moved the speakers around, put them in new locations, and ran through tests on their programs, and we were able to get the crackle to go away, so they sounded a lot better. Our complaints for the sound has gone down substantially since doing so, and the speakers themselves, the system we have right now, in all transparency, is out of date, and the company is closed. So any repairs and maintenance that needs to be done on them is done in-house. So it's stuff that staff has to learn.
Well, while we're on the subject of this, with the sounds, can we set a schedule for when this comes on?
Yes, sir,
When it goes
there
on?
is one set now.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I drove through the other night, and I was amazed, it was like midnight, and they were on.
We've been testing it lately.
Okay.
It might
I
have
was
been
like, who's out
mistaken.
here
Yeah.
listening to this?
We've been testing some things, making sure everything's working properly with the schedule. And we are able to control the music from City Hall as long as the system is working. We have a remote connection set up with a laptop in there, and we're able to control it from here. So it's not like if something were to happen, we don't have to go change the music or stop the music in Barrel House. We have that remote connection available thanks to the internet connection.
Okay, and the choice of this particular building is because of the height.
Yes, sir. This is the height and the centralized location in downtown. The city doesn't own any other property downtown, so even if we were to move it, we would have to have a lease agreement with whatever building owner we did decide to move to.
I think if you didn't have that, the next alternative is you'd have to spend more money and put a tower up that you wouldn't want to be looking at either.
Yes, and we'd have to weatherproof the computer equipment to make sure that it could handle the extreme weather conditions. In Barrel House right now, it's conditioned space in their loft.
So are these speakers used for other, like for the Christmas parade or for 4th of July? or
We
any
tested
other-
that. I actually have a transmitter that we could plug into the system. It's something we would like to test, to add it in there for the Light of the Night was the first time we were wanting to test it. It was struggling a little bit, and we didn't really know the system very well. I'd like to revisit that this year.
So if someone were not in favor of having the music in downtown and having it quieter downtown, then they would vote against this. Is that correct? Not that y'all are looking at me, and I'm not going to glare from my wife, but and a couple folks I grew up with. Okay, I guess I'm getting a lot of looks here, so I don't do that.
Any more discussion? Okay, so we'll put this on the agenda then. All right, next fun topic, Cherokee County fire tax rate.
Yes, sir. This past Tuesday, the Cherokee County Board of Commissioners adopted a new M&O millage rate as well as the new fire millage rate. The fire millage rate is what we're focused on here tonight. It increased 0.135 mils from 2.88 to 3.023. If you'll remember, in July, council voted to adopt the rate that the board set. This is more of a formality than anything of the official rate for y'all to readopt to match the county's rate. Just as a reminder, if we do not match the county's rate, we still owe the fire tax amount to Cherokee County. we would have to source the funds elsewhere if we did not match the rate that the county has set.
Okay, so we voted for it no matter what the rate was gonna be. Now we have to
Right.
vote again for the established rate?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. And this is a pass-through fee that goes on to our property bill, but we pass it right on through to the Cherokee County Fire. So when you see that increase, that's from them.
When you see the increase there and with the
Oh, and
county
Cherokee
M&O
County,
rate as
yeah.
well, Cherokee County did a,
Just remember,
an
we
increase.
did a rollback. So every increase is from the county.
Hopefully, on the front page of the Tribune, you saw where our taxes are going up at the county. A lot of expenses increase, and fire is one of them.
Fire's going
So,
on.
yeah, school tax.
Okay, moving on, next item is the zoning board of appeals appointment. This is an appointment made by Councilmember Homiller. Each council member chooses a person to serve for a certain amount of time, and this is an appointment for an unexpired term until January 2027. Councilwoman Homiller.
What do you want me to say? I nominated Shelby, she's accepted. And it ends in January, so it's, unless something comes up between now and then.
We do have to have a vote of council for this
Yeah.
appointment, correct? So this is formality
Okay,
to
so we'll put it
put it
on the agenda.
for a vote.
First,
Should
any
be
discussion?
available to be reappointed in January? Okay, well, makes it easy. She's just filling the spot and then.
Yeah,
And whose term
But
is
in-
she?
She's replacing Stephanie Joyner's
Okay.
term after Stephanie has moved
Right.
away out of the city.
Okay, item G, data center application moratorium.
Yes, sir. So I have the slide here with all of the conditions listed. This will be something that I will disseminate to council after our meeting. At the July 21st, 2026 meeting of the Cherokee County Board of Commissioners, the county voted to adopt a moratorium on data centers. This is a 30-day moratorium at the county where they will host a public hearing regarding data centers around August 18th, I believe, with plans to adopt a 180-day moratorium following that meeting. I've spoken with Canton, Woodstock, and Holly Springs. Those cities' ordinances are up to date enough to not require a moratorium. However, Logan has done some great research into our ordinances and found some concerns. With the county adopting theirs at this time, it's my recommendation to council that we adopt a moratorium as well to have staff update our ordinances for better protection and conditions regarding data centers within the city.
Are we doing ours for 180 days?
Yes, ma'am. It'll be
Okay.
180 days, expiring sometime in February, I believe. It should say
Yeah.
February 9th.
February 9th,
Yes,
I see
ma'am.
it now, yeah.
Any discussion?
Mayor, have you had discussion with the county commissioner, Johnston, on this, or any discussion on this? Because it was in the paper again that so we're following the county on this.
No, I saw him the other night. We didn't discuss it.
Okay. So we will, so how are we gonna proceed with this? We're gonna follow what the county does and?
Be very similar, working very close in collaboration with the county on this.
And legal
I have
counsel.
spoken with the county's community development agency director, and him and I are working together on figuring out the process that they're going to follow and what we can do to kind of, for lack of better words, piggyback off of what the county is going to adopt.
Okay. Mr. DeBoard, have y'all had any internal discussion with your firm or anything regarding data centers and these moratoriums?
We've had some discussion ever since Palmer brought up this idea, and we've been looking into comparable ordinances.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All right, we'll put that on the agenda. Next is Public Safety Committee update. Council members Benefield and Rogers, which everyone wants to speak.
Okay, I'll go. This past Tuesday, the Public Safety Committee met, and there were 2 items that was discussed that we need to get the consensus of the council. The first topic was the e-bikes are here. So it's time for the city to draft an ordinance on e-bikes, to decide on e-bikes, and examples of some of the topics that were discussed was, you know, are we going to allow them on the sidewalks? Are we going to allow them on the streets? The age, is going to be selective? Will e-bikes be permitted on the downtown sidewalks? Strategically placing things that we'll need for e-bikes since they're here, which means like the bike stands in the downtown area. We can't have the children that have e-bikes throwing their bikes on the sidewalks to go get an ice cream and, you know, all that kind of stuff. We can't have all that. So this is with the consensus of the council for us to move forward and try to get an ordinance compiled and then to bring it back to the council for review and all of that. So that was one of the topics. Wait for the council's consensus to move forward on this. We probably won't meet for about 30 days. That's not what you said, Palmer, for 30 days to see the information that we can compile, to see what other cities are doing, to get an example of their ordinances. I know Woodstock had an ordinance that they passed on their e-bikes, but they had to go back and revamp it, and so,
Ackworth has also passed theirs, and e-bikes are becoming more and more popular. I mean,
they're
it's
here.
a weekly thing. I'm seeing them, and I don't have anything against e-bikes, but I just see them zipping around, and the prices are also dropping drastically, so I think it's gonna be a real big gift for Christmas time for kids. And we're just trying to be ahead of the 8 ball rather than behind. We are kind of restricted by the state on how much we can do in an ordinance, but there are some things specifically for safety issues that I think need to be looked at in an ordinance.
So before we, are you asking
Yeah.
before we agree to vote
To
on?
move-
to go ahead
To go ahead and move forward
move
looking
forward
at
with
it.
an ordinance
We'll need a
for
vote.
the e-bikes.
Well, yeah, and I think we'd like to probably see the ordinance. And
Oh,
what's
yeah,
the
Yeah,
after-
wording in
no,
it.
just give
Oh.
us the approval to move forward with it, to bring it to you guys.
Right.
Is what we're looking at.
Then you guys
know.
will take a
Okay,
look
okay.
at it and, you know, make whatever
It'll go through the
recommendations.
whole
Like
council.
we've
Same
done.
thing,
Right.
yeah.
My thoughts are, there should be some regulation to it for safety, because I agree, I've been in not just Ball Ground, but other towns, and I'm like, man, they should not be riding that on the sidewalk. And it's
Mhm.
tight parameters, and
And they go
especially our
25 miles an
sidewalks are
hour.
very narrow downtown. While there's other areas of the city that I agree, they could safely ride in the street, not be a hindrance, but then you've got kids cutting around and stuff, so probably is something we need to look at, and I'm not endorsing our police department to be out there all day writing tickets on it, but at least providing safety. And if somebody does wanna push back on it and say, look, we do have this to keep our people on the e-bikes safe and the residents safe that are walking as pedestrians. So I think we should look at something like that.
So I believe what y'all are asking for is consensus of the council to dedicate
Right.
staff time
To move
to
forward.
move
and-
forward with an
With
ordinance.
an ordinance, yeah. Any comments from you, Lieutenant Young, on this?
Not yet, I'll refer that back to the chief. I know he's had some discussions with you about this, on this specific topic. Right now, I spend most of my time in the office, so I'm not seeing the e-bikes as much as anybody else right now, but I know they are out there.
Okay. Okay. So
I
the.
think the one I'm seeing a lot, I'm seeing some workers that work further up 5 that use the e-bikes. But I'm seeing a lot of young people with the scooters, the motorized scooters, and they're zipping pretty
I
fast.
had a couple weekends ago, not this past Sunday, the Sunday before, I was on my way back from my brother's house about 7:30 in the evening, coming up Valley. I was heading northbound, and there was an e-bike and an e-scooter. And as I passed the fire station, I guess you could say they were doing the snake between both lanes, zooming, going down. I almost had to be at a complete stop because they kind of wanted to play chicken with me to see how close they, you know. And they were young, you know, and they were having fun, but a little dangerous, you know. It could have gotten ugly if a car came out on, what's that, Hoy Holcomb, you know, the way they were zipping through there and stuff, so. But most what I see, there's not a problem with them, you know, they're just, riding along. I've seen one little boy, probably as young as 8 or 9 years old, zipping the streets on his and those things can go up to 25 miles an hour, so they zoom pretty darn quick, those e-bikes, so.
So I'm assuming, I'm not young, so I'm assuming that e-scooters would fall into the same category as e-bikes for it to fall under the ordinance?
I would have to research what the actual code section says, see if there's any updates for that. It may be a gray area with that, but I can't say for sure.
Okay, I didn't know if we would need to move forward with a separate ordinance for e-bikes and a separate ordinance for the e-scooters.
If it's a non-powered,
Electrical.
yeah,
It's electrical.
It would all be,
operated,
okay,
motorized.
okay.
Yeah, of some sort.
versus I'm pedaling a bike on my own power.
But some of them you actually can't pedal to they do both.
Sure, correct.
Mhm.
You know, so you actually pedal to charge the battery backup, from what I understand.
So is a consensus then for the council, for us, for the Public Safety Committee, just to go ahead and move forward with the ordinance? Or to work on an ordinance in order to bring it back to you guys to review?
You'll be getting with other
Oh, yeah.
municipalities in Cherokee County and other, because we're different than Woodstock. And,
Absolutely.
You know, other cities similar size and going through.
You know,
Yes.
definitely don't want to be restricting people's freedom or use, but just the safety component in certain corridors of our city
Right.
is to
I
watch.
think, my personal opinion is, I do think that since they are here and the e-bikes are becoming less and less expensive, I mean, I think the chief had told us in our meeting, some of them are as low as $500 now. So with Christmas time coming up, I've thought a lot of children may be getting some e-bikes. And so it may be time for us to consider an ordinance on this topic. So, okay.
Yeah, we'll work on it. Thank you.
Okay. So the second topic that I wanted to ask the council about is if you guys would be open for the public safety to do an exploratory committee on golf carts in our downtown district. We understand there is no way golf carts will be able to be on citywide streets. We understand that. But if the council would be, the Public Safety Committee would do our research, we would pull other ordinances from other cities. We would have to identify the streets in our city from county streets, because the county does not allow golf carts on their streets at all. So I'm gonna pick on Old Dawsonville, with the pockets of the county streets on that. That's gonna be a challenge, but it's something that the committee can try to work through. The other thing I've asked Palmer to do was to work on our GIS to see if we can identify our county streets from our city streets. We could be color-coded on our GIS. And then also identify the streets with the different speed limits, 25 miles an hour, 35 miles an hour. We understand also, of course, the state highways are totally off limits. So it's just something, an exploratory committee, and once we feel like we get that information together, then we'll bring it to the council, see what the council has to say about it, and then go a little step further to maybe form a subcommittee that will involve and be comprised of maybe HOA people, the citizens, or each council member. This is just ideas I'm throwing out. Each council member can have a representative on the subcommittee to discuss and to review even further. So education, education, education is one of the things that we need to do on this. And so this is phase two, or the second topic that we wanted to discuss in our Public Safety Committee, and also to talk to the council about, to see if you guys would be willing, or a consensus for us to move forward also on this topic, the golf carts.
I'm against it.
I'm sorry?
I don't think that's something that we should worry about right now. With having the state road going through the middle of town, from what the chief had said when it was brought up the last time. It's just my opinion. I don't
Anybody
think
else?
it's.
I
That's what
think
we're
they
trying to
they
get
can
everybody's
cross in
Yeah.
Old Canton, can't they?
Yes.
That's the only place they can cross the
That's where the
state.
state would approve if we had an ordinance that at the four-way stop, because it's a controlled intersection. There are gonna be some roads that you can never cross.
Right.
Highway 5, there's nothing we can do about that. You're never gonna be able to cross it. Gilmer Ferry, if we have an ordinance, the state would approve at the four-way stop there, because it's a controlled intersection, but you cannot ride down Gilmer Ferry on your golf cart. There's gonna be, if it came to fruition, and I don't know if it will or won't, but if it came to fruition, there's gonna be certain neighborhoods that they would only ever have access to ride the golf carts in their neighborhoods. Looking at like Sage Hill, Marble Tree,
Ours.
yeah, the preserve, right, but, you know, now when you get into the downtown area, people that, you know, live closer to the downtown, they would probably have the biggest access
Right.
to use the golf carts, so. And there's some things that are just completely out of our control that we
Right.
cannot change. You know, it's regulated by the state or the county, and we can't do anything about that.
And
But
that's the way it is in other cities. I mean, it's
Exactly.
selective. We
we've-
have
we've
selective
looked
streets
at
that,
Woodstock, we've looked
Right.
at Canton, you know, you've got like, the town lake, they're very restricted over there. They could never ride and get to the downtown area of Woodstock, but they use within their neighborhoods, and
and it looks,
Yeah.
it seems like in our discussion, in the committee, that it seems like the golf carts is really gonna benefit the city center type, residents. I mean, you know, just like Christine was saying, you can pretty much forget in Sage Hill, any of the new marble trees or whatever. We have a bypass that's gonna be going there, and they will not be able to cross that. Even Lantern Walk, where I live, we will not be able to cross, Highway 5. Heritage Woods is way out on an island by itself, so that's gonna be another no way. But in the city center parts of O'Dawsonville, maybe, in the historic part,
off
it's,
of Northridge.
yes,
because
it's
the
just,
trucks
it's,
aren't allowed
yeah,
through
it's,
there now.
but this is just an exploratory committee. This is just something that we want to get with the consensus of the council to go ahead and start gathering information. It's not gonna happen overnight, because we wanna do it the right way. If the council sees for us to move forward, we will move forward. If not, we'll table it.
If it's something to do, to check, to give it the fair shake of looking at safety, looking at the use of the golf carts, looking at the regions, at this point, you know, for 2026, I'm open to at least look at it. I'm not saying I'm supporting it. I'm like
Right.
Ms. Homiller. I do have a lot of concerns on it, and I still think people, even though you put an ordinance in place, will still want to do what they want to do. I've got neighbors in my way out off of 372 that are under the impression they can ride their UTV or that into 372, and I've seen it. They've stopped, but they want to come on out and do that. So, just being cautious in that, and I believe having citizens and maybe even some business owners sit on the committee would be wise to give feedback of what they think. My second part, I've seen just recently that people were under the impression that, well, if you have the golf cart come into town, you won't need as many parking spaces. Go to Woodstock, go to the beach, go to other areas. the golf cart takes up the same spot as a car parking space, so I don't fathom that that's a true statement. So either, you know, I don't see us creating parking lots for golf
No.
carts,
No.
Right.
but keeping that in mind as well.
In
And-
addition, this is another, I'm sorry,
I was
Chris,
just gonna say, on an ordinance, we have more control on an ordinance, on writing that ordinance, on restrictions, where they're allowed. You would have to be a licensed driver.
well, each
kids-
golf cart will have to be permitted.
Right, they'll be
and-
permitted, they would get a tag each, you know, like a little sticker each year. So,
I've seen those in the different cities I've been in, where they
And
either
s-
rent them or people have them.
Right,
Yes.
and you would have to sit through a little bit of an educational before you're permitted.
Your
So
first
you will
time
know
around,
what
yeah.
roads that you can go on, what roads you cannot go on. So we're trying to, you know, it's gonna be
And the feedback coming back as well, is it something the police department currently can support?
Mhm.
So they've got a lot going on now, but running around looking for who's in compliance with the golf cart, if it gets there, that's another hurdle. So there are a bunch of questions that, yeah, I don't mind the research of it. Like I said, I would like to see a committee of some citizens and, that are here in the city.
when we get to that point,
When you
yes,
get
we
that
would
point,
definitely.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And bring the feedback back, and then we can.
What about you?
I'm okay with that.
You're okay?
Do
And
we
I
have,
would
you have a
like-
lot of requests for golf carts?
We
have a
did
lot,
last
don't we?
year, we
Yeah,
did last
we do?
year,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah, here from the back there. Yeah.
but we,
Okay, I'm
you know,
just-
unfortunately, Ball Ground, since we have some major state roads going
Right.
through our city, we will be limited. I do know that, you know, we will be selective on where, if we get to that point. And this is gonna be a long process. We wanna make sure that we do it right.
So I think you've got,
Yeah, I
Two
like
at
the
least.
idea of getting input from
yeah,
people
and
in
eventually, when we
businesses
get
and-
our committee formed and that comes back, I would like them to talk to the council, you know, bring the committee forward to the council and everything that we go
Definitely.
over, so.
good deal. Yeah, go, y'all got a lot of work coming up.
Yes, we
Yeah.
So with the consensus of council, we'll dedicate staff time and resources to start
Okay.
this process and research.
Okay. Sounds good. Good.
All right, move us to staff reports, Lieutenant Young.
Good evening, everybody. We had quite a few, we didn't have that many calls for service, but we took a lot of reports, a lot of incident reports, took a lot of miscellaneous reports. We had a crude and children case that has been resolved, damaged property, domestic dispute, verbal, and small shoplifting, and a few drug violations. The traffic violations, actually, we wrote 77 warnings, 65 citations, so writing more warnings than citations. Top 3 violations were the speeding, obviously the 575, top speed was 98 miles per hour. And on Old Canton Road, top speed was 45 miles per hour. Seeing a little more stop signs, other than the expired tags last month. Total crashes of 7, top 3 locations, again, 575, 372, Business 5, they kind of win every time.
Where you don't want golf carts.
The violations for those are things are speeding, following too close and failure to yield. We had an incident at the roundabout, we had someone failure to yield. We actually have completed our first year of our state certification assessment, which is required to be submitted and reviewed. We have submitted that, so we're waiting to hear back from them. We have a candidate that is in the beginning stages of their hiring process, and hope to start no later than September 15th. If that follows through, that would bring our staffing to 9 sworn law enforcement officers, and there's allotted to 10 positions. The goal is to fill those open positions by November. We're continuously looking for qualified candidates. We have some pull back out, some go to the departments that I've noticed right now. So we're still filing through those.
Got a question.
Yes, sir.
Of your applicants, are they giving you a reason why they're pulling back? Is it because of benefits or other?
Traditionally, it's always been because of healthcare benefits. Traditionally, our family plan's a little high, and police police officers have many kids for some reason. So, usually that's the first thing. We've lucked out on a lot of the people we have that their spouse, or if their spouse is on a different plan, or they can utilize a VA. But those kind of are very few and far between, special circumstances.
That's something we're gonna be looking at.
Yeah, we have to with our health benefits.
Okay, Logan, you're up again.
Alrighty, so, for the month of July, we only had one new build permit pulled. It was not in a subdivision, I believe it was on A.W. Roberts. So all the neighborhoods have stayed the same for July.
So only one building permit during the month of July?
One new
And
build
all-
permit.
One
We-
new building permit?
We had
all
a
the
couple other
subdivisions.
permits, like for various.
Is that a function of, what do you, with all that we've got going on, what's that a function of? Is it the market, or is it, what's going on?
It'd be pure
Timing?
speculation on my part. I think our numbers are close to what they were last year. They're just kind of hitting at different times. We do have a number of neighborhoods still going through the land development process. The existing neighborhoods are building the homes they pulled permits for. Not a real
Sometimes
estate
they-
agent, so.
Don't they pull 5, 6 permits though at a time? They'll work through those and then come back for more?
They do sometimes do that, especially with your spec builders, you know, on your low to mid-level houses. They'll pull a number of permits. Townhomes, for example, they'll pull 8 at one time because you got 8 in a building. Your larger custom neighborhoods, that might only be 1 or 2 every now and again, so.
So no permits for Buckley Station?
Don't believe so, no.
Okay.
We'll see what this month holds, so. So obviously, I am the new Community Development Director. I'll just formally introduce myself to all of you as well as everyone in the room here. My name is Logan Witter. I started on July 6th, so I believe 30 days exactly today. I have a master's in city planning. Now, don't hold this next part against me. It's from Clemson. Don't hold it against me. I just went there for the schooling, so. I am a certified city planner through the American Planning Institute, so I can use little letters after my name, basically. Means I kind of sort of know what I'm talking about every now and again, but I'm looking forward to working with all of you as well as the citizens, you know, of this community. I like small towns. The city I came from, Sugar Hill, it's not a small town anymore, but it used to be a small town when I was growing up there. So learn a lot of things from all the jurisdictions I've worked at. Hope to bring those here. Let's see, what else? Sidewalk inventory dashboard, we're gonna be deploying that soon. That'll be kind of an interactive map showing all the sidewalks throughout town. We are also working on a online permitting system. So that'll be helpful not only to our developers, but to our homeowners who just wanna pull a simple permit. They'll be able to go online, pay for it online. We haven't selected the vendor yet. We're thinking about doing that soon. At a bare minimum, it'll have the online permit submission and payments. There is a state law now that requires us to basically have an online permitting system by, I believe, 2028, January 2028. Obviously, we want to have that well up and running by then. There may be other features with that, but we'll provide you with updates as we select a vendor and go through the process. So I believe that's all I've got for tonight. So.
That last part you mentioned there, would it allow if it's a homeowner wants to pull their own permit, will allow them to link with Veritas that's doing our inspections?
Yes, our inspectors will be able to go into the system. Homeowners or developers, they'll request their inspections in that system. That's going to cut down.
Schedule the inspection and
Mhm.
okay, that's a good
It's
tool.
basically taking the volume out of our phone calls and our emails and putting it into one place so everything can be kept track of. We can keep track of payments, who's done what inspections, where they're at in the process. And as a part of this new state law, a substantial amount of information will be available freely to the public.
Show a cover sheet of what the homeowner would need to do. I asked that because I went through that this year and it was a little more than I thought.
Yeah, and I am going through all of our applications right now, just one by one. First, updating my name on there. And then just kind of going through and looking, okay, where can we improve this? How can we make it a little easier to follow? Just make the process a lot smoother, so.
That'd be good.
Will use of the permitting system be a choice? They still would have the opportunity to do it the old way?
So all the permits will be put into the system. Ideally, we would like everyone to use this, but I believe the functionality is there for people who may have trouble or not have a computer at home, that we can still do with paper and help them. But
Okay.
ideally, we want everybody to
Sure.
put it in, so. yeah.
But I would encourage that we allow for, say, a homeowner who is doing a remodel project or adding a deck at their home to be able to come in to City Hall and have assistance with that permit, not have a user.
We're always here for assistance,
yeah.
Feel free to email us, walk in, however you want to do it, we're here to help.
Good. Thank you, Logan. Palmer, you're it?
Yes, sir. So, kind of to reiterate what Logan was speaking on, for reference, last May, we didn't have any building permits pulled, and this year we had 14. So we're kind of similar on that same track of more building permits getting pulled, and I would imagine some coming online before the end of the year to kind of match that same number from last year. Specifically speaking, Ball Ground Brook, they're working through their plat process. They emailed us today. It's with the county fire marshals for their review and their stamp. And once that's done, I believe they'll begin vertical construction. That's a 43-home townhome development south of the roundabout. So those should be being pulled soon, I would imagine. Going into our capital projects, we are pleased to announce the opening of a new public parking lot in downtown, adding 63 parking spaces, including 5 accessible spaces. This additional parking will provide greater convenience for residents and visitors, support downtown businesses, and promote activity within the downtown district. We appreciate the cooperation of the property owners and the support of mayor and council in this additional public parking availability to the city. I also wanted to say a special thanks to Officer Robinson for getting this drone shot for me yesterday right before the storms rolled in. So we're going to be working with our GIS team and get these new parking spaces added onto the downtown parking inventory application soon. Moving on to Parks and Recreation. On July 31st, the city officially unveiled the Calvin Farmer Historic Marker, honoring the life and legacy and lasting impact of a man whose name is synonymous with ball ground. Calvin Farmer's family joined us on the 31st for the unveiling, with some traveling us in as far away as Louisiana. While at the site, Roy Haynes Jr. Mentioned to me that he remembers planting this tree with his family when he was a child. It's a really great marker. Highly recommend going to see it if you haven't. Work has been completed on the Lions Field lighting upgrade. This new system allows us to schedule the lights for an entire season. We can remotely control the lights, and it provides better lighting for the ball players. The cost for this renovation was approximately $179,750, with most of the proceeds coming from the sale of the city gym and supported from the park's impact fees. The renovations of the pickleball courts and basketball courts at Calvin Farmer Park were also completed this last month. This area is now set up with 6 new pickleball courts and is already seeing a lot of use. This cost of this renovation was $60,077. $37,000 of that came from the sale of the city gym, and $22,800 came from the park's impact fees as well. The new pavilion at Calvin Farmer Park is currently being built, and this space will provide picnic tables, grills, and cover space for people to use while visiting the park for softball games, baseball games, playing pickleball, or going to the basketball area. Oh, and Just a note on this, I did hear from the builder that the roof should be going on hopefully by the end of next week, weather pending. Moving on to water and sewer operations, we have sent off our lead and copper samples and are waiting on the reports for them now. We did recently order, since it's a new fiscal year, more cellular meters and have already replaced 22 this past month. These new meters do require plastic boxes instead of the old cast iron boxes, so we also have to order boxes to go along with them. However, our public works team told me that they have decided to, instead of buy the boxes that have the hole already drilled in the top of them, that they're going to drill the holes themselves, effectively saving us around $40 per box, just by adding a hole that we can drill in ourselves. This past month, the water team has completed over 20 service line replacements. Now this next slide is a little gross. If you want to look away and be squeamish, I recommend looking away. But we had another grease clog in the sewer main this past week. So this is the sewer main behind the businesses on the north side of Gilmer Ferry that service some of the restaurants in the area. Unfortunately, this occurs more frequently than we would care for it. CCWSA and Public Works were able to work together to jet out the clog for us and get the main operational again. I think it's important to share, mostly because utilities such as this are constantly overlooked or unseen, and people don't see what's occurring when it's underground and out of sight, out of mind. So I want to thank Public Works for being so quick to respond to getting these issues fixed before it got any worse. Street last week before school started back. Also thanks to Lieutenant Young, glad you're here tonight, for working with the radar signs to understand their system and scheduling procedures. Lieutenant Young and I were looking at the system this past Friday evening, and it is not the easiest to understand. So it's a little of the blind leading the blind in that system. But we're still fine-tuning the process and understand that Lieutenant Young had a training with radar signs sometime this week to help understand that system a little bit better. Also, just wanted to remind everybody, this month we have qualifying for 3 council seats from August 17th through the 19th. City Hall will receive completed qualifying packets from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Monday the 17th and Tuesday the 18th, and from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. on Wednesday the 19th. Any questions about qualifying, please contact Galen Bush.
Quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
Update on the newer playground equipment for the older kids? Have you heard
We've
anything
reached
on
out to
it?
them. They're slated to begin install at the end of August.
So they're a month behind. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
And once again, was that equipment also paid for by the proceeds of the gym and also our impact fees,
Yes, ma'am.
correct? Good.
Okay. Any other matter we need to discuss?
Are there any other updates to the bypass?
Yes, sir. I'm not sure. I can't remember if I've informed everybody or not. We did receive word back that we did not get the build grant. There were over, I think, I can't remember the exact number on how many applied for, but there was over $45 billion in grant funding applied for, and they only awarded, I believe, don't quote me on this, 11.7 billion total, maybe 1.7.
I think you said 1.7.
Yeah, I think it's 1.7 total. So the project was marked as a project of merit, which means that they'll take it into consideration again for next year. So we're not done applying, and there's other funding sources that we're reaching out to and figuring out now.
Refresh my memory too, for the grant that we applied for the senior center for the addition. When is that money to be, I mean, we don't know if we're gonna
September.
get it, but was it September or
It'll be
October?
September when we hear back. It's the
Okay.
CDBG grant from the county.
I couldn't remember. Okay, thank you.
Bless you. Anything else?
No, sir.
Okay. Everybody, thank you for coming and have a good evening.